especially in the cities, and 80% of the population of the European Union are living in cities or urban agglomerations. And in the cities, if you look at the use of cars, 10% of the distances with a car in the cities are less than 1 kilometer, 30% less than 3, and 50% of all the trips made by car are less than 5 kilometers. And if we look at 6 kilometers, 90% of all the trips by car in the European cities are less than 9 kilometers. 60, yeah, less than 90% of all the trips less than 6 kilometers. And that are distances for public transport, for bicycles, for food, for going by foot, for walking, and so on. There was a mayor of Munich. He's called Christian Ude, he's a social democrat. And there was a Velo City in Munich, and a big international conference. His speech was in English. He said, of course, in the future we have to define BMW, that is the Bayerische Motorenwerke, the big car factory in Bavaria. He said we have to define it as follows: biking, metro, walking. And that is the goal. And the mayor who was there in 1972, Hans-Jochen Vogel, he once said, "The car is murdering our cities. He who sows roads will reap traffic." And we know that. But the programs, if you look at the European Union and the member states, the program with the highest money is going into the road, although the program is just the difference. We have now the situation in the European Union that we have a review of the Eurovignette, that the cars have a toll on the road that is not mandatory. We are discussing that the external costs should be internalized, because the toll is only for the instruction cost, and we know that about 60% are the external costs. That is the climate, the following of the climate, that are the health problems, that is absenteeism costs if you are ill, accidents, and so on and so on, noise. But we are now discussing it. We don't know whether we will reach it. If we need in Europe at least a fair competition between road and rail. And if you compare it with the energy sector, there, for example, in Germany we have the renewable energy law, because the consumers pay a very short amount more for the fossil energy to push and to subsidize the renewables. And that was a big progress, and it was a good model for Europe, not only for Germany. We had big success of it. And if you compare this with the transport sector, we are doing just the opposite, because we are subsidizing, permanently subsidizing the road, and we are punishing money and tax the rail. And if you compare this, the rail sector, for example, with the aircraft, the rail have to pay mineral tax if they take the diesel. They are involved in the emission trading system because they have to buy electricity, and the electricity sector is involved in the emission trading system. And the railway sector has to pay value-added tax. For example, if I take a ticket by train from Berlin to Brussels, I have to pay 90% value-added tax. 1/5 is the state who is punishing the rail and makes the tickets more expensive. If I take the flight, I have to pay value-added tax. And that is another competition. And also there, we have the kerosene tax. The aircraft is free of kerosene tax. They are not in the emission trading system. We are discussing now, perhaps up to 2012, they will be involved in the emission trading system. But for the kerosene tax, it is 14 billion euros every year in the European Union, which the taxpayer have to pay and not the consumers who are flying. And with this 14 billion euros, we could build and modernize a railway system in Europe that lots of distances, which we now are making by flight, can do by rail. For example, the high-speed train between Berlin and Hamburg, the the flights have disappeared. Between Berlin and Hanover, it was the same. Between Brussels and Paris, only crazy people are taking an aeroplane. Or between Brussels and London. And you see, there is a possibility, we have the alternative, or only we have to do it. And with those 14 billion euros for the kerosene tax alone, we can achieve a lot. And then perhaps, not perhaps, I'm sure, Malta will have also a railway system. And if you compare Malta with Mallorca, Mallorca has a railway system. It's a small island, and they have a railway system. At least you need a tram here in the cities, and that is a perspective. And we need a change in our mobility, in our behavior, and I think to combine it with climate change, so that our children and children of our children will have a perspective on this globe. Therefore, we have to fight against climate change and to change our mobility. Therefore, I thank you very much for the attention, and we have now the discussion.